Hi, this is Curious Mystics Podcast, formerly Spiritual Mamas Podcast. Together we explore the mysteries of the spiritual world, sometimes boldly,
Sometimes cautiously.
but always with open hearts
and curious minds.
Let's go. Good morning. Welcome back.
Hey.
It's Aericka
and Kim.
What's happening?
What is going on? I feel like not much. I am in this weird, it's not super weird, but this weird place in my head where my body's like, it's summer, but the weather outside is not summer. So I just want to go to the beach. I want to be in a pool. I want to have my feet in the sand. I want to be warm. And it's just not quite there.
I know today is very deceiving because it is gorgeous outside.
Yeah.
But it's like 50 degrees.
Yeah.
So it's chilly.
That's going to sound weird by the time this episode comes out. Everybody's going to be like, it's 90 degrees.
Right. I know. Our bad, guys. Our bad.
We record a little early, but yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm like, I want it to be fully summer, and it's just not yet.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I don't have a whole lot to report today, but was it last week when it was just like that crazy energy where it was like I just felt like I was on a roller coaster all last week, and it like I felt like I was PMSing and was not, but that's how wild my emotions felt last week.
You were not alone in that. I felt a wild shift, and I talked to a lot of people that were also experiencing something similar, and it was like a little bit different for everybody, but there was this giant, like, we're moving from, being stagnant or stuck or depressed or unmotivated to being motivated and wanting to go and maybe not being able to, or we're jumping in 10 feet ahead, and like it was intense.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm glad that's over. I'm sure there'll be some other roller coaster coming, but all good things. All good things.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
So today I wanted to start off a little bit different. So wherever you're listening from, sitting down, driving, cleaning, whatever it is that you're doing, I just want you to take a moment, and we're all going to take a deep breath in together. So, and then we're all going to exhale. And when you feel like you've exhaled, just exhale a little bit more. Make sure you're fully empty. And now, when it's safe to do so, if you're driving, give yourself a moment. Maybe you can come back. Maybe you can breathe again. But I want you to take a moment and think of a giraffe. What comes to mind?
A giraffe from the zoo.
Okay. Can you see it and describe its colors?
Yeah. Do you want me to?
You don't have to. You can hold on to that for a moment.
Okay, I'm going to hold
on. Notice if you can tell what kind of environment it's in. And if you can recognize if it's doing anything, and whatever else comes to mind. Okay, so most people will envision a giraffe. We'll be able to see that creature with long legs, an even longer neck, maybe those two horn-like objects protruding from its head, maybe a gray tongue coming out of its mouth, the brownish spots. They may even see an entire scene, the environment. You mentioned a zoo, so you might be able to see other animals or plants or things that are happening. Some other people might envision a giraffe or a similar image in like a 2D or cartoonish format.
Okay.
And then there's some of us who don't visualize anything. We don't have an image or a visual. There aren't any colors or experiences. Not a single thing will come into our mind's eye.
I find that wild.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how you would realize. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, this is aphantasia, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So, the inability to mentally visualize within the mind's eye. Despite knowing exactly what a giraffe looks like, I can describe it. I can tell you all of the things that are a part of it. I can give you all of the details, but I cannot visualize that in my mind's eye. And this can, for some people, it may vary, but it can apply to objects, people, places, experiences. For me, even my own memories. I can recall something that has happened, but I cannot visualize it, even though I've experienced it.
So, are you going off of like root memorization? Let's go back to the giraffe. Are you going by like root memorization from looking at it in a book to be able to describe it, or like seeing it on TV to be able to describe it?
So I'm not necessarily doing that because that might still require some sort of visualization.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like a conceptual idea. The idea of a giraffe. I can describe that. If you asked me to describe a parrot, I may be able to describe the idea of a parrot that I have encountered in some form, but there may be like hundreds of different species of parrots, and I can't tell you what that parrot looks like versus this parrot. Mm-hmm. Whereas like giraffes might be a little bit more universal because there might not, I mean, I have no idea if there are, but I don't think there are like hundreds of different species of giraffes.
Right.
So
interesting.
I'm using the concept, the idea, the information that I have encountered to conceptualize whatever it is that needs to be conceptualized.
So like I'm thinking like as soon as you said parrot, what popped into my head was like this like blue bird with the beak, and then like I could see its feathers, like its glossy feathers, and like I wanted to reach out and touch it. Like I knew what it was going to feel like I heard it. I don't know, like I could see it talking, like I don't know. So that's not what you like, it didn't pop in your head when you said that?
No,
this is so wild to me. I can't conceptualize this.
Yes, so it's really difficult for people who have aphantasia. It's really difficult for them to understand and recognize that people visualize because we can't visualize. And for people who visualize, it's really hard for them to understand that people don't visualize or that they have aphantasia because you can visualize. So it can be hard to bridge that gap. And it's not necessarily about fully understanding what the other person can or cannot do or see or how they experience. But one thing that you can kind of notice is that people who conceptualize may not have as much detail when one of these, let's say, experiences of visualizing comes up. So for example, when I started this and asked everybody to visualize a giraffe, the people who can visualize may have seen the giraffe and extra detail, things I didn't ask. Environment, what's it doing? Can you imagine what it, feels like, texture, sound, all of that. People who conceptualize stop at giraffe. Okay, so picture a giraffe. All right, I'm going to tell you, I described what a giraffe looked like. That was the end of that.
I saw a whole like zoo scene. There was a baby there. There was like the wind was whipping. Like, there was sounds. Like I heard it. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting, I'm going to say phenomena, but it's not really a phenomena. It's an interesting thing that happens. It's a trait that people have.
You might get into this, but like, how is that correlate or even not correlate with like, I can't conceptualize, like you're saying, conceptualize a room. Like I can't see in my mind's eye how a room, like how a couch, a table, and a chair go together. I have to physically move it in that space. Like I can't visualize that.
Yeah.
At all.
That's interesting that you bring that up. I wasn't going to necessarily touch on that, but as you're saying that, I could 100% conceptualize how things go in a room.
Yeah, I can't.
I could like the room that I'm sitting in right now, while I have my eyes open or when I close my eyes, I could imagine moving furniture around and what it would look like.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily see it. It's just an idea.
Yeah, I cannot. I can't do that. Like I could try, but it absolutely will not work. And I have to physically move it in order to be able to see it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm.
So the thing with aphantasia is that it is one part of a spectrum.
Okay.
So aphantasia was formally established as a condition that some people experience in 2015, which is not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
It has been documented as a known phenomena since like the 1800s. People with this condition were previously termed non-imaginers, non-imagers, but it was never like actually studied. So then in the 21st century, a person reported being unable to visualize in their mind's eye after undergoing surgery. And they were referred to a neurologist, like, I could do this before, but now I can't. And the only thing that's changed is the surgery. This case was posted in a magazine, and that brought forth 21 people stating that they had this condition from birth. And that's when it started to become a studied experience.
I had never heard of it until social media recently.
Yeah, it is fairly recent that people are even recognizing that, like, oh, we see things differently or don't see things differently. So from that perspective, the understanding that some people from birth cannot see, so this is congenital versus acquired. Some people may have a surgery or an injury or something happens, and then all of a sudden they lose that ability to see. For the people who have this acquired condition, something happens and so it changes for them. Sometimes they get that ability back and sometimes they don't. For the people who are born this way, it never changes. If you can't visualize in your mind's eye from birth, you will never be able to visualize in your mind's eye.
So is this genetic or is it like a one-off?
So there is strong evidence and correlation that if you have aphantasia, then somebody in your direct family line, your parent, your sibling, your grandparent also has aphantasia, but it does not automatically mean that if they have it, you have it.
Okay.
So there is a genetic component to it. So there's that piece, right? The congenital versus the acquired piece of it. And there is a spectrum. So, as I mentioned before, when people see, that can vary. Aphantasia is a complete lack of visual imagery. Hypophantasia is a vague or incomplete image. So maybe you see that giraffe, but you don't see it in color. Maybe you see very light, vague colors. It's very dim. It's out of focus, or something like that. Phantasia is clear, accurate imagery. I can see the giraffe as it is. Pretty straightforward.
Is facial blindness on this spectrum?
So, not quite. It's kind of like a square and rectangle thing.
Okay, so similar but not the same.
Yeah. If you have aphantasia, you don't necessarily have facial blindness. Like, I can recognize faces. I can recognize the faces of the people that I know. People who I don't interact with on a regular basis, people who I don't see often, it may be harder for me to recognize them, but I recognize them as I see them. And I could describe my mom's face to you, but I can't picture it.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, there's a little bit of like, I'm not sure what the word is.
Crossover? A little bit of a...
Yeah, a little bit of that going on. But
so if you have facial blindness, do you also have aphantasia?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting like...
Yeah. So because this is on like a spectrum, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a full aphantasia experience. Okay. Maybe it is, I have aphantasia specifically for faces, specifically for people, specifically for certain environments.
Okay.
So some people do have aphantasia in certain contexts and not in others.
Got it.
And I'll get to that in a minute. But
sorry, I'm like fascinated.
So there's aphantasia, hypophantasia, phantasia, and then hyperphantasia. And hyperphantasia is vivid, lifelike images as if they were here right in front of you. So the interesting thing about that is there have been reports of people with hyperphantasia struggling at times to decipher between what is real and what's in their mind's eye.
Wow. Interesting.
Yes. Some people, there have been some like reports of people who experience breaks from reality. Maybe if you have like schizophrenia or something like that, if you're having a break from reality, some people may have hyperphantasia with that. And so it makes it that much more difficult to decipher what is real and what is not. I listened to a really good podcast episode on Radiolab about this, and the link will be in the show notes if you want to listen to it. But they go into detail about that experience and talk to some people who have experienced it. And the man's story was really well kind of explained. And so that was what got me started on this. Like, oh, wait a minute. Totally different types of experiences with seeing and not seeing. Like, I knew that I couldn't see. I didn't realize that it was not as common.
Yeah.
People. And then that the other side of the spectrum also exists where people can see.
Yeah, it's so like so
vividly.
yeah. Wow. Okay.
So one of the things that I was thinking of as I was going through this is like how does aphantasia impact a person's ability to connect spiritually or to meditate? And sometimes we talk about like that feeling of like, is this even real? Am I really connecting? Am I getting the message I think I'm getting? Can you like, you know, can you give me a sign or sign, please? Let me know that you're actually telling me this because I don't know.
Yeah.
So the reality is that having aphantasia doesn't have to affect your connection or spirituality or affect it negatively at all. But knowing that I have aphantasia means that I might have a different way of processing things, a different need to a different way to need to connect.
Yeah.
So this might be something like we've talked about in recently I mentioned in another episode that I don't enjoy like guided meditations. When I first started doing meditations, I wanted to do the guided meditation because I needed somebody to tell me like what to conceptualize, what to see. But it was still a struggle for me to see it. And so hey friends, we just wanted to take a moment to remind you all that you can interact with us on social media. We can be found at Curious Mystics Podcast on all platforms.
And if you haven't already, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep showing up for you guys with new weekly episodes and content. Thank you for hanging out with us so far, and stay curious.
I've come to a point where I would rather not have somebody guide me. I would rather be given a prompt or an idea at the beginning and then get out of my way. Right. Allow me to just do my process so that I can connect. And usually in that, I'm focusing more on my body sensations. I'm focusing more on the experience that I'm having and the concept that I'm creating.
I think that's why you're really good at like somatization or like talking to people about that, because I think you feel it like, because you don't have like the visual, it's much more kinesthetic, much more like bodily feelings. Whereas I'm not that good at the somatization piece for me. I don't know if it necessarily has anything to do with it, but I don't know, just thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that we are in a culture that doesn't really highlight or promote your somatic experiences. There's a lot to that. Yeah. But I definitely think that that's a piece of it. We are in a culture that doesn't promote that doesn't highlight it, that doesn't value it. It's kind of like just think and do, and leave out how that actually impacts you. So being able to like slow that down and bring it into what you're actually experiencing for me is important. And I enjoy helping people to connect in that way. So I don't think that it's impossible for people to do. It's just something that takes a little bit more work because it's not like a natural reaction.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people that I've come across in my shaman classes when we do journeys and stuff, a lot of times they say I don't see things, I just feel things, and I have like this whole entire world is built, that I see. So and oftentimes I've heard them be frustrated when I tell them my experience. I'm like, I'm not trying to tell you that this is how you need to be experiencing it. This is just how I experience it, and that's what works for me. And you have to find out how are you getting the messages? I'm getting them visually. How are you getting them? It's different. So,
yeah. I think the other side of that too is that when it comes to something like aphantasia, I have tried a million different ways, a million different times, over and over and over to see something, to visualize something. And we've talked about this before, but like I've been told, like, yeah, you must have clairvoyance because you can see those geometry figures that I see when I open my eyes. But I never get there. I never get to a place, no matter what I'm doing, no matter how I'm setting myself up, no matter how much practice I do, I never get to the place of I can visualize. And I have tried a million times. There are people who might be able to see and just are disconnected. So thinking about, is there a lot of external stimuli going on? Are you setting yourself up? So like give yourself a chance to practice, to really see if that's something that you can connect with. Maybe you need to be in the right type of environment, the right headspace, the right, the right conditions for it to happen. And that might mean that maybe you have like something like hypophantasia, where you can see things dimly or vaguely or under circumstances and not in others.
Yep.
But it's just something to think about, is like, where on this spectrum do you fall? And because it is a spectrum, you may be like, okay, I'm experiencing aphantasia 98% of the time, but then 2% of the time I do see. And in that 2%, maybe it is a dim image or something like that. One of the other things that can be helpful when you're thinking about spirituality, meditation, connection, and aphantasia, we had an episode on clairs, we've had an episode on tarot, we've had an episode on divination. All of these are ways to connect spiritually, and they don't have to involve visualization. Maybe you're a person who has claircognizance, and so you're not really seeing things, but you know that you're experiencing that connection, or that you are, really tuning in to whatever message you're getting. Or getting really clarifying messages or things like that through your cards or other forms of divination. So you don't have to be able to see in your mind's eye, even though that's the language that a lot of us use. And I have done it too. It's like, okay, well, what is it that you see? What do you imagine? And even that is like, okay, that people may not be seeing in that same way.
Yeah, that's important to remember. And also, I love that you said that, like, you can use tarot, you can use oracle, you can use like these divination things. There's the scrying, there's all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that doesn't require you to go into your mind's eye. And I think that's absolutely wonderful ways to connect to spirit, and important ways. So
yeah, I agree. So a lot of the information that I got today was from this website, Aphantasia Network, and that link will be in the bio. But according to that website, this condition can impact other senses for people as well. So some people who have aphantasia also have difficulty with other senses, with hearing, with smelling, with feeling, or the idea of feeling, or something like that. So if more than one of your senses is lacking, it is considered to be multisensory aphantasia, which I find really interesting. I never have thought about that before.
Yeah.
And I often will talk to people, especially at work, when we're trying to like get into that somatic experience, I will often talk to people and be like, well, can you imagine your favorite food and tell me, what does it smell like? What does it taste like?
Mm-hmm.
And for me personally, those experiences I do have, they maybe aren't as strong depending on what it is I'm trying to connect to. If I
Mm-hmm.
can imagine my favorite, let's say Thanksgiving dessert is apple pie.
Mm-hmm.
If I can imagine that, my mouth starts to water. I
Mm-hmm.
do recognize the smells that go into it and the taste of it. And
Mm-hmm.
it might be a little bit dimmer, but I can recognize that versus if I'm trying to connect to, like an eggplant. It's just not there for me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why it would be.
To each his own. Some people really love eggplants.
Okay, true.
So yeah, when we're going back to
That's
that, it's
funny.
like, can you hear that giraffe moving? Can you smell it? Can you imagine, what it feels like? And of course, there's like pros and cons to experiences like this. People who have aphantasia may be more analytical and have to find alternative ways of processing or accessing information.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Nope.
Creativity in the traditional sense may be challenging, and that is not so great. But you might just have to look at creativity in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some very creative people who have been known to have aphantasia. So the co-founder of Pixar had aphantasia.
Huh.
You would never know that with
No.
how creative Pixar is.
Right.
The creator of Mozilla Firefox, the internet site.
Yep.
The biologist that first sequenced the human genome.
Oh, geez.
Which is wild.
Right.
Like, to have aphantasia, that's not something that you saw and then you were able to conceptualize and put together.
Yeah, that you realize it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a spiral, and it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
So those are just some interesting points. And then a couple of other stats that I just wanted to throw out there, some information for people to have. An estimated 1% to 5% of the population has aphantasia. We're not super honed in on a smaller range because people have such wide different experiences. So it's not something that's very well documented in that sense, because you can have, like I said before, aphantasia maybe 98% of the time and 2% of the time that you can see things. Or some people have aphantasia only when it's on command. If I am trying to visualize something on purpose, I can't make it happen, but randomly it might pop up in my head for some people.
And it might be that people don't realize that's what's happening. Like I can imagine that, when you're in school and the teacher's like, oh, imagine this and then make and draw it. You're just thinking you're just bad at doing it. You know what I mean? Not that there's an actual clinical biological reason for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And there's also the other side of like, it's not that they can't imagine it, right? Like you can conceptualize it, you can describe it, you can write it, you can relay that information. And you don't realize that you may not realize that other people are not doing it the same way that you're doing it.
Right.
So there's a piece of that. On the flip side, about 2 to 12% of the population have hyperphantasia. So being able to vividly experience things. And I think the reason that range is much larger, like 2 to 12% as opposed to 1 to 5%, I think, and I'm just throwing this out there, it's not that I saw this anywhere, but I think that part of the reason why that range is so much larger is because if we know that some people who experience a break from reality have aphantasia or hyperphantasia, those people may not necessarily be able or willing to communicate that. Right. And so it may not be as documented. So it's a much bigger range of people that might have hyperphantasia.
So let me ask you, when you're reading,
yeah,
like I have like a whole movie playing in my head. when I'm reading. Like, what is it?
What is it like?
Yeah, what is it like? What is it for you? Like, I don't like.
Yeah. It is not a movie. I enjoy. I
I know you
actually
do.
love to read fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild because there's a lot of world building and
Right.
imagination that comes with that. I can conceptualize, and I think even for that experience for me, it's more of like how if I was the main character and this was
Mm-hmm.
happening to me, how would I feel?
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
kind of have that type of experience, and now I'm this character, and like
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's how I do it. I don't know how other people do it, but yeah, it's not something that I'm visualizing. With actual movies, and this is something that my boyfriend despises. My favorite movie is Ocean's 11. I
Mm-hmm.
could quote that movie from start to finish right now.
Yeah.
I have seen that movie a million times.
Good movie.
I cannot tell you what happens in the scenes in that movie. Like,
Okay.
I can't visualize. And so we take it beyond that. That's a movie I've seen a million times. I know the movie. When we see a movie that I maybe haven't seen, but might be like super impactful, he's really good at like, oh, this scene that happened in that movie with that person. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't
Yeah.
see that. That didn't happen.
He's like, yes, it did.
Yeah. Yeah. So that really bothers him because it's like, for those types of things, it doesn't even commit to memory. Never mind that I can't even imagine it happening because, it just wasn't impactful enough, I guess, for it to even stick there.
So interesting.
Yeah. I have no idea, and I'm interested to know if there is any sort of correlation between memory and aphantasia, because this is another piece my family gets really frustrated with me about, and they'll be like, remember that time when we went on this family trip and da-da-da? And I'm like, no, that didn't happen.
I do have that problem.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
I don't know what that's connected to, but yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely, like, my family will tell me, like, oh, you did this. I'm like, I did?
I'm like, no, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
Get out of
They're
here.
like, yeah, yes, we were here and blah, blah, blah. And you said this. I was like, wow, I don't know.
Yeah, that piece happens often. And it's like, for me, just like doing this research and learning about this, I was starting to think, I wonder if it is connected. I have no idea if it is.
I don't know.
But if it is in some way, because I can't visualize it.
Right. So it didn't commit to memory because you didn't.
Yeah, and I don't even
you
have
can't
like
bring it up.
of it.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't even conceptualize myself doing that or being there. So, but yeah, so there's that. Some people with aphantasia can have dreams and maybe even very vivid dreams, and other people don't. And sometimes that's like the only time that you would have phantasia or hyperphantasia or hypophantasia. So I know that we've talked about dreams before, and dreams is one area that I do visualize. I would not say it's hyperphantasia. It's not like super vivid dream. Maybe somewhere between hypo and just plain old fantasia. For my dreaming, my dreams happen to be more lucid.
Right.
As opposed to vivid. I don't really have vivid dreams. So yeah, that piece that's the reason why I keep trying. Because I'm like, I can do this. I do this in my sleep. So I have to be able to do this in other areas.
I wonder if there's like because we don't really understand what dreams are. So I wonder if they're just not even connected to the same part of the brain where visualization is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe we do know that, but I don't know.
Yeah. 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 Maybe that's something to do a little bit more research on. I did see, and I didn't like look too much into it, but on this website, they were talking about how people with aphantasia can still like do really well with something like hypnosis, and being in a hypnotic state, I think, would help me to visualize. So yeah, there's still more that I'm trying to like play with here to like, if I can do it in this area, then maybe other areas, and I just have to like unlock that somehow.
You can do it.
And I don't think I mentioned this before, but There is a lot of research that has been done more recently about like how we know what this looks like. And it's not just a person describing it. It's not just the differences in, a person who is able to see can describe this entire scene and have all these extras, and people who are not able to see kind of stick to the script. We notice those differences, but there have been fMRIs, functional MRIs, done on people while they are visualizing, and we can see that people with aphantasia, the part of their brain that connects to their optic nerve does not light up when they are visualizing, when they're imagining, they're conceptualizing. But people who can see, hypophantasia, phantasia, hyperphantasia, that part of their brain is lighting up when they are seeing. So they are actually seeing.
So actually seeing, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I know this answer, but I don't remember. They've done that when people are dreaming. Isn't the same thing happen? Like where it does light up? I can't remember. I have to look that up.
Yeah, I don't remember if it's that specific part of the brain. I know that lots of different parts of the brain light up when you're dreaming. There's a lot of things going on there. But I don't know if it's specifically your like optic nerve and what you can see.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. So we talked about the hereditary link to first degree relatives, what that could mean. So sometimes you may find that if you have aphantasia, the people directly related to you also do. Sometimes they don't. It is not a guarantee that will happen.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
So yeah, there is so much more information. There is a test. I think it's 16 questions. There's a test that you can take to see if you have or where on the spectrum you fall. And it is on the website. So you can go to the link in the bio.
Ooh, I want to take it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, how could you like ask me questions and find out if I have aphantasia? But the way that they word the questions and the type of questions they ask are pretty like clear, pretty straightforward. Like, I think one of the questions asks you to visualize a friend or relative that you interact with regularly, but is not with you right now. And then it starts to go down a list of different things. And the first one is like, can you visualize in your mind's eye, or how clearly can you visualize in your mind's eye the shape of their head and their shoulders and their facial features, the contours, the highlights, like all of these specific details. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, that's a lot of detail.
You're like, whoa. You're like, who's seeing this detail? Like, who are these people?
So for me, it was pretty clear. Like, nope, I'm not seeing it. But then they have multiple different options for what you can see. And so, yeah, you can take that test and figure out where on the spectrum you fall for Fantasia.
Watch, I actually have aphantasia and didn't know it. No, I was kidding. It's possible, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm like seeing things. I mean, I think I'm seeing things the way I'm supposed to be, or people with Fantasia see. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's pretty interesting. It's like there's a lot that goes into it, and I highly recommend for people who are interested to listen to that other podcast, that episode that Radiolab did, and to take the test and see what you can find out. Because the other piece of all this is like, you have your experience, but then all the people around you have their own experience. And even if you are in a group of people and you all can visualize things, that doesn't mean you're all visualizing exactly the same way.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's a pretty cool thing to kind of explore. And from a spiritual perspective, I very much was like, oh my God, if I can't see things, then I'm not actually connecting. And it's like, no, that actually doesn't have anything, or doesn't have to have anything to do with. While some people may be very connected that way,
doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
There's so many other ways to connect to source and spirit and each other.
Yeah. So yeah, tune into what you see or don't see and get some more info about what your experience is.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to take the test and then I'll post it with our social media. See what I
Yeah.
get.
Yeah. So there you go on that. Yeah, I highly recommend that everybody do that.
Very cool.
Let
That was
us
so
know.
interesting. I'm still I have like 1,000 questions, but it's so interesting to me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But all right,
So
until next
yeah,
time,
until next time,
stay curious.